Today's show is going to focus on fish. Fish of the Northwest, fish of northern Idaho. The whitefish is a fish that is extremely abundant in North Idaho, and especially in the wintertime. The wintertime, sometime most fishermen go indoors, start reading about fishing. Well, we don't do that. We put on the waders, dive out into the river, and start fishing. So that's what we're going to do on this show. The fish that we're going to search for are the whitefish. Whitefish are in abundance in the North Fork of the Coeur River. A lot of things will attract whitefish, but our choice today will be a fly rod. Kind of difficult, but I think we're up to the challenge. My friend Dean Bennett's going to go with me. He's taught me how to fish, taught me how to tie flies. He is the fisherman of North Idaho, so he's going to explain everything for us. So let's go to North Idaho on the North Fork of the Coeur River.
Take and smoke whitefish. They're pretty bony fish, but the meat is pretty oily, and when you do a smoking on a whitefish, it takes in the smoking flavor quite well. Whitefish become more active in January. They move in and they feed a little bit more. They like the colder water. Rainbow trout, cutthroat trout, they prefer to have a little bit warmer water.
Now today we've finished our fishing trip in the Coeur River. It's been chilly, it's been good, it's been fun. No fish caught, but that's not necessarily the purpose of fishing. Fishing's getting outside and enjoying the outdoors. Now this is Dean Bennett. You've met him on the river, now here he is in the kitchen in real life. The real genuine article, no waiters, ready to cook for us today. So Dean, I got to kind of explain what happened.
Fishing for whitefish is kind of a unique science. Sometimes they'll bite, sometimes they won't. We just happened to pick a really nice day for filming the shots, but it turns out that that may not have been the best time to catch fish. Fish bite when the weather is not so bright. We picked a wonderfully bright day, a natural North Idaho day.
I have a plan. I went to my favorite fishing spot, local grocery store, and bought some snapper that we're going to use as our whitefish.
That works for me.
Okay, so today we'll be making fish tacos. Dean will explain a recent trip he had to Mexico where he was able to eat some of the best food in the world, and fish tacos were part of this food. We're also going to make an incredible roasted papa de gallo, which is kind of like a salsa, real close, but it's real native to Mexico, and it is delicious. To conclude, we're going to cook Dean's famous campfire trout, which actually was caught on the river, and I'm going to add a butter orange sauce to that, so it should be incredible. Okay, Dean, let's start with the papa de gallo. Our first step is to take these peppers, tomatoes, jalapenos, we're going to roast them on the stove, we're going to stab them with a fork, we'll roast them on both sides, and then into a paper bag. They go into the paper bag to help remove the skin and the char that we put on the outside. The char is good, it adds flavor inside the pepper, but we don't want the char in our mouths. So we get rid of the char, keep the flavor, and then chop them up and put them into the sauce.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Now this is the cool part, Dean. Simply turn on the flame, kind of a medium flame. Of course, a commercial stove is going to be incredibly hot. There's no way you're going to get your home kitchen stove to be this hot, but it's kind of cool because it cooks extremely fast. Our goal here is to get a nice char. It's going to start to bubble, and you just kind of let it sit until you start hearing a popping sound. Hearing it now, give it a flip, and the key is to get this same color that you see here throughout the whole pepper. Sugar is what makes the char, so depending on the sugar content of the fruit or vegetable, it's the quickness of the char. So we're going to do the same thing to the jalapenos, to the tomatoes.
Oh, the tomatoes.
And one more pepper. What we really want to work on is getting this black all the way around. The key is to blister the skin of the pepper without cooking the inside of the pepper. That's why we use such a hot heat. Once we think we have enough char on these, we just pop them into our bag. And from the bag, they'll steam. And looks pretty good. And what the steam does, there you go, is the steam causes the char to loosen up. It makes it really easy to take the skin off, just like peeling an egg. Any kind of bag will really work. The key is you want to ensure that you don't use like an ice cream bag, anything with the wax, just a plain brown paper bag. Your purpose of this whole exercise is to keep the steam in the vegetables. Steam releases the skin.
Could that cause your eyes to burn if you got over top of it?
You know, the key with the jalapeno is most of the heat is in the seeds. So once you open this up, everything changes. Then you're introduced to the heat, which you have to be real careful not to touch your eyes, not to touch your skin, not to put it in your mouth, because it gets real hot. This portion of it, though, you could eat the skin, this fleshy part, and have it not be that spicy. That's how they can control different flavors of jalapeno peppers. When you buy them in the market and they're diced or chopped, they can say they're mild. Well, they just take the seeds out. Okay, this one is done. So we turn off the heat, we quit sweating because this is a hot exercise, and we'll dump it back in the bag. Okay, now while we're waiting for these to release from their skin, we're going to start the fish itself, not the whitefish, the red snapper, for the whitefish show. The key is, I believe, in the pico de gallo, is to add different products of different sizes, different textures, and different colors. We'll start with this onion. Get a sharp knife. Sharp knife is key when you're cutting onions. Onions, when they release that juice that they have in them, that's what you want to try to keep down to a minimum. So the sharper the knife, the least amount of juice. You could also put your onions in a refrigerator first, and that does the same thing. Keeps that moisture on the inside of the onion, and then you don't have to worry much about the tears. Guaranteed, you will cry sometimes. There's no foolproof way. So, sharp knife. The red onion is the one item that I want to be really small, because biting into a piece of onion, not overly pleasing. Biting into a small piece of onion, kind of pleasing. So, that's what I like. And then, there's that little baby dice that we're looking for. And you could do actually a lot neater job than I did if you like, because that wasn't the best onion I ever cut, but it worked. Next, we will wipe the tears out of my eyes. Sensitive guy that I am. When you wipe the tears out of your eyes, make sure you don't use your hands that you just cut that onion with. Use a clean towel. Here is what we've roasted. Now we need to get the skins off of these things so we don't taste that char, as I mentioned. We only taste the flavor of the char. This can take some time.
So you're just taking the entire char off?
Yep, take the char off. And this is just about perfect. It's nice to have a little bit of that char still left on them. Other people sometimes will just take a cloth, just like this, and just take the vegetable and just rub the heck out of it. The heck on this one's almost gone now.
That's cool.
And kind of does the same theory, same thing. But we usually only do this in the kitchen because at home you don't want to ruin all your towels. Now that we have these taken care of, we need to remove the seeds. Cut the top off. Perfect. Now just straight down the middle. We'll go through each one and kind of do the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Take that top off.
Oh, no, I got out of sequence, I'm sorry.
And then you just pull the center right out.
Whoa, you pull the center out. That's a new one for me.
If you get a few seeds in your pico de gallo, it's no big deal.
No big deal.
There's two tricks to take a DC in a tomato.
Yeah.
One, you can cut in quarters and just dig them out like this. That gets all the seeds.
Okay.
Or if you aren't particular of how the flesh looks when you're done,
Yeah.
you just take it and just give it a strong squeeze. All the seeds disappear. But we care because we really want the texture of this dish to be really, really neat. Now, again, we want these to be a different texture, different size, and a different look for each one because you want all that texture in your food.
Uh-huh.
So we'll simply just cut these into julienne slices and make them into dices.
Okay.
The tomatoes, since they won't hold their shape very well if they're left small.
Yes.
So these have to be kind of a big chunk. And we'll fly through these real quick. In culinary school, you're taught to make sure all your dices are uniform. When you go into competition for food, they check those dices, make sure that your dices are uniform and the same, because it is more appealing to the eye. It looks like somebody took the time, the care, to make sure everything was the same. This is not a competition, obviously, today, because these things aren't perfect, but they're close. I'm cutting these jalapenos a lot smaller. There's nothing worse than if you're unexpected to get a big bite of jalapenos. So this is one of the small dices. We got this portion of it done. So let's give it a quick turn. And this is incredibly beautiful. We like to use our hands when we cook, right?
I do.
This in itself is a great garnish. Could be a relish. But to make it a pico de gallo, we're going to introduce a lot more flavors to it. There is a beautiful dish right there, Dino.
Yeah, that looks...
Let's make this into a pico de gallo now.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, we're going to introduce some garlic.
Garlic?
This garlic is raw.
Mm-hmm.
It's chopped and minced.
Yep.
So we'll do 2 teaspoons of garlic.
Okay.
Black beans. I love black beans. The way you bite them and they have that real firm texture, I think is incredible. So when you put these on a chip or in a taco, they're going to give you that full body, almost a meat taste.
Okay.
So we're going to add about 14 ounces of black beans.
Okay.
Again, all these recipes are going to be on the website. A little salt, a little pepper, your choice. How much do you like?
I like a little more pepper and not quite as much salt because I'm on a low sodium diet.
Now, to finish this off, we just started the tortillas for the tacos. We're going to coarsely cut this cilantro. Cilantro is a staple. Chipotle. Chipotle is a roasted pepper, and it's in what they call adobo sauce. The adobo sauce is tomato puree with onion and garlic and just kind of a thickener paste that keeps the pepper really fresh and also roasted.
Now, did you make the chipotle sauce or did you?
No, you could buy these anywhere, and they come just like this. It's called chipotle in adobo sauce.
Oh, yeah.
Now the last item, which just kind of balances off all the sauce, is the rice wine vinegar. It depends on how sweet you want your pico de gallo. I like mine not very sweet. I like more of the salty and the clean flavor, but this balances it out. It gives it a base. And so I'm adding 2 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar.
Okay.
And that is just about it. This is enough to feed a large family.